Hello and welcome to a Nibi Studios presentation created for 7 History 1. My name is Connor Chandler. Today I'm joined by Professor John Houston of the University of Shaw, Charlie Noble and Nathan Spencer.
So today we will be talking about the social structure in Shogunate Japan. So the shoguns were effectively the dictators of Japan in the period from 1185 to 1865. So tell us more about the top class.
Well, you say that the rules, but they're actually one step lower in the hierarchy. They were actually they're actually appointed by the official emperor, and they were given all the military power.
But apparently the emperor was only a figurehead.
Yeah, so they actually they were low in the hierarchy, but they had more power. They probably had more influence over the people, and yeah.
See, it's sort of like we have in our society, the Queen is like a figurehead, has no real power, but is in theory the ruler of Australia, but not really. And like we have the Prime Minister who has real power. In this sense, the Shogun had the real power. He's the top military commander, and he's the most. And military, having been in control of armies and stuff, is power, especially in medieval Japan.
So we had it all.
Yeah, really. So the next thing, underneath the Shogun sort of commanded the daimyo, and the daimyo were sort of the controllers of districts and rulers of
Almost the barons.
Yeah. So John, can you tell us more about the daimyo?
Well, these were the rich and wealthy landowners that were appointed as governors of individual provinces of Japan.
Right.
They started to drift away from more the central government, so they started to govern their own society alternative. They hired samurai warriors, which is coming up next, who are the guardians and the warriors who protected daimyos and their families from competing daimyos who wanted extra land and wealth.
So there was a lot of you might say conflict between...
Yeah, there was conflict between daimyos, but there was some peaceful times as well.
So the samurai, what was special about them?
Well, they were as Nathan mentioned earlier, they were the people born into these special classes that only 10% of the population could be. They had special rights that no other lower classes had, such as wielding 2 swords, which was
very important.
Yeah, very
in
important
society.
in Japanese.
So we also have several other rules which are meant to protect the exclusivity and have their importance in society. So they weren't allowed to engage in trade, and they weren't also allowed to have lowly jobs. So, which could, sometimes there wasn't much war happening in Japan.
In peaceful times, this was a major problem for the samurai who were unemployed, because
I think they had a special name. What was that thing? Well, I think John doesn't know at the moment, but I'm going to say they were actually called ronin, which was an unemployed samurai, and this is very negative for the samurai.
Probably dishonorable.
Yes, to be unemployed, and if you did go into these jobs that might be well paying, but you're not allowed to do it to protect the exclusivity, you might be considered like lowly and banished from being samurai.
And since Japan is a country that has execution laws, you didn't want to be on the bad side of Shogun.
But generally, the samurai was very rich and wealthy. But in later years, they
couldn't find work to pay.
Yes, and in some ways, the merchants, the lowest people, considered obviously social class, not by wealth, but by value by the people, who ended up much more wealthy than the samurai. Let's talk more about the merchants. John?
Well, the merchants weren't too highly regarded in their society. They were actually the lowest in the hierarchy because, much like similarly to ancient China, they based the hierarchy on productivity, such as like the farmers were more praised than the merchants as they produced food and crops that would help sustain the economy. You know, merchants were just trying to make their own wealth. They didn't contribute too much to their societies.
So they sold things that other people made. So, for example, a merchant sells something that others, and it's not very.
They try to make profit out of buying.
It's kind of considered dishonest or something because they're not really helping society. They're just selling these goods.
So they're considered possibly like the parasites of society.
Yeah. But they were very wealthy there because selling stuff gets you a lot of wealth, and they became much, as I said before, much richer than even some of the samurai, and did many of the things that only the samurai did because of their wealth. And they were the equivalent of salespeople in today's society.
Right. So, John, who are the artisans?
These were the people who made everyday objects and such as tools, you know, kitchen items, furniture. Yeah, they weren't as regarded as the farmers who produced essential items like food, but they were regarded more than merchants because they actually contributed to society.
Let's talk about peasants. So peasants were the farmers of lands and typically very poor, but they were actually quite highly regarded in the society above artisans and merchants because they were very they actually did things that benefited people in a very direct way.
So they contributed to the country much more than anyone else.
Yes, even though they were quite poor. We see in say medieval Europe, peasants were the poorest of the poorest. But and this is true here. The peasants weren't that wealthy, and they made up a great portion of the population, but they were very highly regarded.
They're very respected.
So so we can see throughout this through the social structure that
it's quite similar to the feudal system in medieval Europe and China, which China, might I add, Japan took a lot of the ideas from ancient China.
And we see in China that they disrespected merchants. This might not be as much so in medieval Europe.
So as we can see here, these are some interesting things we've learnt today. So thank you, John, thank you, Charlie, and thank you, Nathan. This has been a Nibbly Studios presentation. Thank you, and see you next time.